The storm outside howled like a grieving spirit, shaking the thin metal walls of the colony's shelter. Rain lashed the transparent ceiling panels, and occasional bursts of violet lightning lit up the night sky of planet Juno 4. Inside, human engineer Thomas Reeve wiped oil from his hands and sighed, settling down on the floor of the maintenance bay with a steaming mug of synth tea. He hadn't expected to be here this long. What was meant to be a 2-week resource calibration mission had turned into a 3-month stay due to political tensions between Earth Command and the Genoan clans. And during those months, one small alien girl had changed everything. "Mr. Thomas?" came a tiny voice behind him. He looked up. There she was, Leary, barefoot, clutching a weather-worn blanket around her slim shoulders, eyes shimmering like liquid moonlight. Her skin was a soft silvery blue, the color of clouds just before dawn, and her white hair spilled down her back in wild tangles. "Leary," he set his mug down, "what are you doing out of bed? The storm's getting worse." She didn't answer right away. Her small fingers twisted in the fabric of the blanket. Her lip trembled. I had a dream again," she said softly. He stood and crossed to her, kneeling so they were eye level. "Was it the one about the fire again?" She nodded. Thomas gently guided her to sit beside him. He'd found her by accident during his first month on Juno 4, curled under a collapsed solar panel, barely breathing. He later learned her village had been destroyed in a border raid, and her mother, Sarai, had been the only other survivor. "Did your mom know you came here?" he asked. "She's asleep. She cries when she thinks I don't hear." Thomas felt a knot tighten in his chest. Sarai was a proud woman, graceful and fierce, one of the few remaining emissaries between the Genoan high houses and the humans. But behind her regal posture, there was always sadness in her eyes. "I didn't mean to wake you," Leary whispered, voice barely audible. "You didn't," he lied kindly, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. "You want to stay here until the storm calms down?" She hesitated, then nodded. They sat in silence for a while, the storm rumbling like a beast outside. Thomas sipped his tea again, pretending not to notice the way Leary's tiny form leaned into more and more until she was tucked against his side, comforted by his warmth. It was moments like these that made his heart ache. And then she said it. "Mr. Thomas, will you marry my mom?" The mug nearly slipped from his hands. He stared at her, stunned. "Leary, I know I'm not supposed to ask," she rushed, tears brimming in her eyes. "But you're always kind to her. You fix things. You fix my leg and the roof, and you bring her tea when she coughs. And when she looks at you, her eyes, they smile." Thomas's throat tightened. "She's lonely," Leary whispered. "I hear her crying when she thinks I'm asleep. She says she doesn't belong anywhere anymore. But she smiles when you're near. I think if you stay, she won't cry anymore." He had no words, just the sound of the rain and the soft hiccups of the little girl beside him. "I miss my father," she said. "He died when the fire came. But sometimes I dream it's you, that you pick me up and hold me, and we laugh, and she laughs. I know it's not real, but I want it to be." Tears streamed down her cheeks now, and Thomas did the only thing he could. He pulled her into a hug, a deep, tight embrace that said everything he couldn't put into words. "I can't replace him," he said hoarsely, "but I care about you, and I care about your mother. A lot. Then why not stay?" "Because I'm just a technician. Because Earth Command won't let me stay. Because Sarai deserves someone stronger, someone worthy of her." But none of those reasons seemed to matter with this small girl holding on to him like he was her last hope. "I don't know if your mom wants me to," he said gently. "She does. She's just scared." Thomas looked down at her. "How do you know?" "Because she told the wind," Leary said simply. "In our tradition, when you're too afraid to say something aloud, you whisper to wind. And if the wind carries it back, it means it's true. Last night, she whispered, 'I wish he'd stay. I wish he'd choose us.'" Thomas stared, thunder echoing in the distance. The next morning, the storm passed. The sun filtered through the clouds, casting golden light across the hills of Juno 4. Thomas walked toward Sarai's home, Leary skipping beside him, her hand in his. When Sarai opened the door, She blinked in surprise. Thomas. Hey, he smiled awkwardly. Leary came by last night. Thought I should walk her home. Sarai stepped aside to let them in. She wore a long robe of pale green that shimmered faintly, her silver markings catching the sunlight. Her beauty was ethereal, but it was a tired hope in her eyes that struck him hardest. Leary, why don't you get ready for your lessons? She said. The girl hesitated, giving Thomas a pleading glance, but obeyed. When she was gone, the two adults stood in silence. She asked me to marry you, Thomas said softly. Sarai's eyes widened. She did what? He chuckled. She said I'd make you smile. She looked away, flustered. Did you talk to the wind? He asked. That made her pause. Her gaze met his, suddenly raw and open. I did. I didn't think anyone would ever know. He stepped closer. I'm not asking for an answer now. I just want you to know that if I could stay, I would. That I think about you both. Every day. And if you want me to be part of your lives, truly, I will fight for it. I'll talk to command. I'll request permanent reassignment. I'll do whatever it takes. Sarai's breath caught in her throat. Then, slowly, she reached up and touched his hand. You already are part of our lives, she whispered. Weeks later, under the glowing petals of the night-bloom trees, with both human and Genoan witnesses gathered, Sarai and Thomas stood before the elder priestess. Leary beamed in a dress of soft gold, holding both their hands. She had braided Sarai's hair with glowing threads and insisted Thomas wear a Genoan ceremonial clasp. When the priestess spoke the final vow, Leary jumped between them and hugged them both at once, tears of joy on her face. You said yes, she whispered. I did, Sarai smiled, brushing a tear from her daughter's cheek. Thomas looked down at them, this proud alien woman and her hopeful child, and knew he was exactly where he was meant to be.